What is going on, everybody? It is another race day here, Bristol to be exact. I know I got my guy Armany here. He's just sitting with his shades on, looking cool, per usual.
Three for bad.
But per usual. But today is a fun day. I think Bristol's always a fun day. Short track racing is a fun day. I was at a dirt track last night until this morning, so that's always fun. But late nights at the short track are always fun. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Been a crazy. The world's been a crazy place the last few days. We're not going to get into any details of that, but Armany brought up a great point when he first got on here live. He said today's a really good day to have some racing, something to kind of break the madness there has been going on. So obviously it's been a short week since y'all saw us. We last talked to everybody Wednesday. I'm fairly certain, I don't think we have a midweek race this week besides Monday when the Xfinity runs. I could be wrong, though. Am I wrong about that?
I don't think so. Yeah. Your next midweek race is Martinsville, but that's on like June 10th. I think that's on a Wednesday.
Right. So we don't have a midweek race this week, but fun to get back to the track today, obviously at Bristol. But first, we have to recap Charlotte because last time you heard us, it was Wednesday, and the race was supposed to be an hour away from when we talked. And then we got on live. They announced it's going to run the next day because obviously of the rain. And I'm not going to tilt my cap or nothing, but your boy made a correct pick again. That's 3 correct picks so far this year. Chase Elliott takes home his win. And, hey, it was just – you knew it was going to happen, Armand. I don't know why you didn't take the 9 car.
I took the 9 car. I believe it was the first Darlington race when the last time I picked Chase Elliott. So I picked Truex. Truex is strong during the 600, I mean, we talked about it, the Toyotas, they start small, like they work their way up. And I thought Truex was going to get it done again, and then he was just non-existent the entire night. I mean, I was just surprised. I mean, Joe Gibbs Racing they've been struggling so far this season.
Yeah, I've told people, one of my predictions is what the 19 team is going to fall off a little bit this year without Cole Pernley, being there. You just, with that good of a crew chief, you don't just replace and bounce back and you're gung-ho and you're back to, running for a championship. I knew that was going to be a thing. My biggest thing with the 9 car is the reason I picked them is because I felt this positive momentum swing the last couple of weeks. Ever since we've been back from quarantine, every single race he has competed and could have arguably won. You look at the first Darlington race, he was up front competing, ran 3rd or 4th, maybe not necessarily would have won that one, but was in the top 5. I believe he finished top 5. You look at the second Darlington race, obviously we know what happened there. Arguably was going to win the thing because he had so much fresher tires, was catching the 11 car before he got dumped, and then rain came 2 laps later. Then obviously we move forward to the first Charlotte race. We already know what should have happened there before the infamous pit call. The truck race, he goes out and wins. Now Xfinity or Cup, he goes out and wins. So it's just a positive swing for the 9 car, and they're clicking right now. And I mean, it's not going to be a surprise if he's a threat to win again today.
Yeah, Jake's always been really good at Bristol. When we start talking about Bristol more, I'll get more to like my little I remember I said like a little infamous tweet last year. I mean, one of my many infamous tweets. Talking about the difficulty of Bristol. We'll get to that when we start talking about the actual race.
Well, hey, we're here, so we we'll go ahead and get there. Bristol, obviously today, 500 laps, everything per usual for Bristol, from what I've heard and believe. Bristol has been a fun track lately. It's never going to be old Bristol, unless they just change it back somehow. But maybe, old Bristol used to be right around the bottom, train around the bottom. You have to, move a guy to get in front of them, which is all fun and love, if you ask me. But obviously around the track, we went through a couple of years. And Bristol, I tweeted out earlier this morning, I think aesthetically, Bristol is the most fun race to watch on TV. I mean, it's awesome in person too. I've been there a couple times in person, but like it just looks fun. Like, there's certain tracks you watch on TV and you're like, I think it would be fun to drive a car around there. Bristol's one of them. I think Homestead's one of them. But Bristol, to me, I love watching cars make laps at Bristol.
Oh, yeah. Bristol's, I believe, the fastest track on the schedule. I mean, you got cars going like no less than 110 miles an hour there, 15-second laps like it's nothing. So Bristol is on my favorite track on the schedule. Though going back to that, I made a tweet last year where it's like, Bristol is an easy track. And I still kind of stand by just because we have in my opinion, more than half the field can, has like a 80% chance of winning the race, in my opinion. I mean, I think of Blaney, like all of Penske, I think all of Hendrick, maybe besides Byron, maybe all of JGR, even Stenhouse. Like, there's so many people that are so good at Bristol, and there's so many people with like 4 or 5 wins. That's why I made that statement. But Bristol's one of the best tracks on the schedule, my favorite track on the schedule. I mean, I like it how it is. I like the multi-groove racing there. I mean, to me, it's like a mix between Martinsville and Richmond. Yeah, you got to work the bottom too, but like Richmond, where there's multiple grooves. But unlike Richmond, the multiple grooves actually mean something, whereas at Richmond, they're in a way so equal that you can't really do anything.
Well, I think the thing about Bristol, I don't know if you can call it an easy track. I think this is so back to, even though it's crazy, because I don't know of any other track that's like Bristol ever anywhere in the country, but these drivers do grow up running short track. So it's a throwback to that kind of short track mentality, short track style. And I think a lot of drivers can they can adhere to that, and they're used to that, and they understand that short track culture, and they love what Bristol does. And I do think Bristol's become a little bit easier to drive at the last few years since it's become multi-groove, for the simple fact that it is multi-groove. You can run the bottom, you can run the outside, you can get dominant through the middle a little bit. I think that's something that really settles to the driver's favor. You can really manipulate your driving style, and we've seen the same drivers over and over again be good. And I was just thinking about this. One reason, we've seen, we can no longer buy into, well, there's no qualifying in practice, so these guys could ruin the entire race in turn one. It's because if you can make it through Darlington, I think you can make it anywhere. But think about this. Bristol is treacherous, and I don't know if it's more treacherous than Darlington, but I remember that first lap at Darlington, and they tiptoed through there. Bristol, you can't really tiptoe because somebody's not going to tiptoe and somebody is going to tiptoe. And to go around a place that small when you're all right beside each other that close, it's going to be fun to watch those first few laps, everybody get a handle there, because remember, they have no laps on this track at all, none whatsoever. So it's going to be fun. Bristol has really been a survival race. And, people talk about how the plate tracks are survival races. I think Bristol is the survival race that I like. The super speedways is just, we're all waiting until we all are in a big crash, and then hopefully you're there with 5 to go. With Bristol, it's old school. You're beating and banging. You've got to survive. Your temperament's got to survive through the day. Your car's got to survive through the day. There's going to be spins. There's going to be wrecks. The last couple of years we've seen. You remember a couple of years ago, Ryan Blaney's leading the race, no problem. Lap cars start wrecking. He's involved. There's nothing he can do. That place is just so tight knit that you've got to watch out. I'm playing a video game at Bristol. You have to pay attention to what the hell you're doing, because you'll roll up on lap traffic and you'll wreck yourself in the lead, and you're thinking, well, I just led the last 300 laps. I guess this is over. So, Bristol, that's one thing I love about it is there's nothing you can do wrong with Bristol still in terms. I've had to get used to how the racing is now, but I enjoy it. I still think it's a good racetrack. So now,
another thing about Bristol, this is going to be this is the second race of the season where they got that new short track package.
Mm-hmm. I didn't remember that. I forgot about that. So I'm really intrigued. I don't know now. So I'm assuming it's a different package than what they had last year. Then they would have to be.
Remember, last year they had like the one package fits all, the giant spoiler, et cetera, et cetera. This year, they got the smaller spoiler. Think of it like 2018. But it's interesting too, because like Bristol seemed to be the only short track, road course, whatever you call it, last year that the package didn't really affect the product of the racing. That's why I like Bristol so much. It's like no matter what package you bring, it's still going to put on a great show. Whereas you went to Martinsville, you went to Richmond, Sonoma. It wasn't, obviously you had more Dirty April, a little bit more of a factor. I mean, that's the main reason Matt Benedetto lost the race last year, is because when Newman hit him, the side force and all the air, it disrupted the car. So you probably wouldn't have that with the 2018 package, but you can't say the racing was bad at Bristol. I mean, a lot of people, my favorite race last year was the first race at Talladega, but I'm pretty sure you ask 90% of people, their favorite race is probably going to be one of the Bristol races.
I think you bring up a good point. Bristol's been the one track that I don't know of Bristol having a bad race due to the package. I think it's always been due to like what they've done to the track. You know what I mean? There's never been a race at Bristol where you're like, the package has ruined Bristol. Now, Martinsville we saw that a couple of, last year, where literally at Martinsville, you couldn't, the leads you couldn't pass, and it was even notable by the media. Now Martinsville, I still think that's a little bit of a cop out for maybe a more boring Martinsville race. I still think it's super hard to J arrows. The reason a Martinsville race wouldn't be good. But Bristol, I've never remembered a bad race because of the car. There's never been bad races. It's because the grooves. Maybe there's been too many grooves. They didn't have to make contact. Those kind of things. So I think you make a good point there. But man, I think we can all agree Bristol is the perfect. I'm excited, and I haven't seen a car on racetrack all weekend at Bristol. I don't really know why they didn't run Xfinity yesterday. Oh, I remember the TV turnaround. We talked about that. TV turnaround was too short. I'm not sure what time they're running Xfinity tomorrow. I would hope it's an evening race, but we will see. But let's go ahead and get straight into it. We've talked Bristol. Like we said, it was going to be a quick show today. It's time to get to the most important part. Clearly, I'm the king of the show in this category, and that is our race-winning picks. And I'm going to let you go first. The pick of the litter here. Who are you taking to win at Bristol today?
He's probably the most I feel like he's the most underrated driver so far this season. The finishes haven't shown for it, but he led a couple laps at Darlington. He led a couple laps at Charlotte. Seems to have really good – I mean, when he has the car, he looks like he could take it to the front. He kind of, in my opinion, starts to crack a little bit under pressure, but I think that's going to end today. I think driver of the 20 car, Eric Jones, is going to go to victory lane.
That's a solid pick. I was looking at him for something else that we'll discuss here in a little bit, even though he doesn't really fit that mold. Eric Jones, when somebody asked me earlier, who are some outsiders that you can maybe think of, I don't really know why, but Eric Jones popped into my head. I don't know why. I looked at his stats. He's not overwhelmingly good or bad. He's had some good runs at Bristol. He's had some bad runs at Bristol. But Eric Jones does intrigue me. He is so – I don't even know how to explain him. I'm trying to think of another driver to compare him to. Maybe in a sense like a player where he doesn't win a lot, but there's weekends where he's around, and then there's weekends where he's not around. And, maybe that's a good kind of comparison I'll have to tweet out later. Eric Jones is Clint Boyer. But, I don't think that's a terrible pick. My guy, though, I feel like it's an easy pick. But whenever I think of this place, I got to think of this guy. And you're going to hate me for it, but I got to go with the Candyman Kyle Busch. Kyle, I think, has 8 Cup wins. He did win last year. I think he won the spring race last year. Kyle has been really unique this year in terms of it seems like he always finds trouble and then he'll work his way to the front. And then he'll find trouble to work his way to the front. I can't remember where he finished last week. I know he had some issues. I don't think he had a great front finish last week. But
he finished like a lap down, like 20-something, like 20.
Right. I think he had some issues, either pit road or something. I can't remember what happened with him last week. I remember he had damage too. I remember he had that damage too. But it'll be intriguing because Kyle, this is a place where Kyle has ruled before. So I think Kyle's going to be a hard guy to pick. He's so good here. This is his best track. He's the best driver in the garage. It's an easy pick, which I'll probably get wrong this week since I got the 9 car right last week. So I'm sure he'll have a dismal day at Bristol today. But, I've seen Kyle Busch do. I remember like 2 spring races ago where they wrecked all on the front stretch on like lap 2. And he even got involved and still came back to win.
I think the same thing happened last year too.
Yeah, the last 2 years he's like spun early at Bristol, and you're like, all right, ain't got to worry about the 18 car takes the lead. But now fun category. So let me see who it was on Twitter. We've always been asking for questions. Nobody's really submitted us questions, but at Judson Racing tweeted us, who's an underdog pick? And I don't know if you've had time to think about this, but I've got mine. Who is your underdog pick for today?
You know what? I was going to pick Ryan Blaney, in all honesty, but
that's not an underdog. Come on, I said an underdog.
Okay, listen. That's why I'm changing the pick. I'm going to go with the true underdog. He's had some good moments. He's been kind of hit or miss so far this season. He's got a lot of highlights and again, also a lot of lowlights. But if you had to ask me an underdog pick, and I'll even go a little bit crazy, I'll say he's my number 2 pick. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Ricky Stenhouse. Ooh, I hadn't thought about that. That's a sneaky good pick. Stenhouse is good at Bristol. He's really good at Bristol. He's
the main reason I think that Bristol is an easy track because Stenhouse is really damn good at Bristol.
Well, Stenhouse is also a really good short track driver. He's a really good race car driver. He just
Well, yeah.
he does some boneheaded things.
Oh yeah, you know, he just had
Stenhouse is
like
a guy. Like I'm gonna have to give you props on Twitter when I get off here. I think that's a very good sneaky pick. They've had speed. I think they finished what, third or fourth last week at Charlotte.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they've been decent, but you're gonna be a little shocked by the guy I picked for my underdog pick.
Oh boy.
You would never pick this guy, I know, but my underdog pick for Bristol is John Hunter Nemechek. I looked at his truck and Xfinity stats. Yep, I picked your boy. So in the Xfinity Series, he has 3 starts. He's finished 13th, 5th, and 3rd. He has a 7th place average finish. In his truck starts, he has 6 truck starts. He's finished 6th, 3rd, 8th, 3rd, 3rd, and 29th. So he loves finishing 3rd at Bristol. He has an average of an 8.66 finish at Bristol in a truck. In his career, he has had 9 starts at Bristol in a NASCAR vehicle. His average finish is 8th. I think we've seen him run well this year, so he's liable to either wreck in the first 10 laps or get a top 10 today. John Hunter Nemechek, he's not going to be a guy that goes out and wins. He doesn't have the car for that. But I think he's a solid pick to maybe run top 10. Maybe if the yellows fall right, some strategy fall right, you find him in the top 5 at some point. We've seen those front row cars show speed at times at short tracks. We've seen Michael McDowell have some good runs. So I think he's a good little pick right there. Obviously, you know, the obvious one is Matt DiBenedetto. Me and you talked about this. Matt DiBenedetto is an obvious who's an underdog pick for today. I think Dibby is good. He's in the best car he's ever had there. Well, arguably, you don't know if it's better than technically the 95 car he had there last year. But in theory, this is the best chance he's ever had. I don't know where he drew to qualify. I haven't seen where anybody drew. I know Keselowski's on the pole, but I'm going to look at that too. I'm interested in that. I haven't paid attention to that all weekend. Dibby is a good pick, but I think Dibby, I talked to you, I think Dibby is a trendy pick, and I think you could kind of fall in that trap of, well, you got to pick DiBenedetto. I don't think necessarily. I hope he runs well today. I would love – like I was starting to think when he was in the lead at Charlotte in like the first start of the race, even though we were 200 laps away from the finish, like I really want to see Matt DiBenedetto win a race just because I think the emotion would be – I think he'd be crying. I think he would lose his mind. I just don't necessarily – like I don't want to buy into the trendy underdog pick, and that's why I'm going with John Hunter. I think John Hunter showed stats over his career that he could have a good run at Bristol.
Picking my boy Front Row Joe Jr.
Front Row Joe Jr. Well, anyways, I guess it's time for us to get out of here. I know you got some things you got to get rolling before you go to work and all that stuff today. I'm excited for the race. I think it's going to be a good race. I hope it's a good race for NASCAR's sake. Not the ratings I expected for the Charlotte race on Thursday, but it was delayed a day. Then it was further rain delayed, and it was on FS1, and it was up against some like huge other shows and stuff. So hopefully we will rebound back today. But really good show, and that's all I got to say. Anything you got, Armani?
I don't got anything.
You never have anything besides Front Row Joe.
Front Row Joe Jr. makes the playoffs.
Okay, we're out of here. Appreciate it. We're ending. We're ending on that right there. See you guys next time.